I'm Kaylee, and this is my May reading wrap-up. I did not read as much as I wanted to in May, but I got some good reading done. But before I get into the books that I read in May, I want to make sure that you know that Books for MKs is a charity that donates books to missionary kids. Today's MK shout out goes to Nora, who is 7 years old and lives in Costa Rica with her family who are missionaries there. Nora is my kind of people because she loves to read fantasy, and I am all about the fantasy. If you want to donate to Nora and children like her, you can donate to the kids at GoFundMe.com. And don't forget to click on that subscribe button and on the little bell so you can be notified every time that I post a new video. And let's jump straight into the books that I read in May. I read a picture book called Emmeline, the Knight in Training. I received this book on NetGalley in exchange for a free and honest review. This little picture book features Emmeline, a little girl who is training to be a knight. She struggles with reading because she has dyslexia, but her teacher challenges her and encourages her to read more. When her fellow knights are in danger, Emmeline is the only one who can lead them to safety by reading the sign on a magical doorway. The story is simple and fun, the illustrations are soft and graceful, but somehow I'm just not particularly impressed. The story is almost too simple and the illustrations are too soft. I would have liked a little more clarity in the artwork, and the plot definitely needed some more depth. There's a lot of telling instead of showing, and the dialogue just could have been more polished. It's a lovely little book, and I enjoyed reading it. Emmeline herself is completely adorable, and I really admired her spunk. I gave this book 3 stars. I finally finished reading the Penderwick series with Penderwick's at Last, the 5th book in the series by Jean Birdsall. Lydia, the youngest Penderwick, is now 11 years old. And the Penderwick clan is going back to the beautiful Arundel estate for a Penderwick wedding. But the sour Mrs. Tifton is lurking around the estate, turning up her nose at everything and criticizing everyone. Lydia finds a new friend in the unstoppable tomboy Alice, and the 2 girls frolic through the countryside meadows while the Penderwicks prepare for the wedding. As always, I love how quirky and strange the Penderwicks are. They each have their own vibrant and unique personality. There are a lot of emotions running high, and there's romance in the air. And Lydia sort of ponders the meaning of destiny and what path she wants to take in her life. And the entire clan of uncles and family friends and cousins and aunts and everybody gathers for this big wedding, and they all bring their dogs. I mean, seriously, there are way too many dogs in this book. Why does every single person own a dog? I mean, it's kind of weird how so much of the narrative is taken up with talking about the dogs. The dogs interrupt every other scene. It just got really annoying after a while. The plot sort of meanders around with very little actually happening. But the real glue of the book is the fabulous characters. I enjoyed this book, but I didn't enjoy it as much as other books in the series, and I gave it 4 stars. I read The Evil Wizard Smallbone by Delia Sherman. Nick runs away from his abusive uncle only to fall into the hands of an evil wizard. Nick is forced to become Smallbone's apprentice, but the wizard refuses to teach him any magic. Unraveling the secrets of the evil wizard bookshop and the mysterious town of Smallbone Cove, Nick will have to outwit his wizard master before an even more evil old wizard destroys the entire town. I was so delighted with this very whimsical tale of wizardry. I loved the enchanted town of Smallbone Cove and all the funny townspeople, especially because of the rich history of the townspeople and the cove. I love how grumpy and enigmatic Smallbone is. And of course, we slowly discover that he has a heart of gold underneath. And I loved the twisty plot with all kinds of weird surprises. I especially like the main character, Nick. He's stubborn and rude and scrappy. He acts really tough and impatient, but of course he has a heart of gold and he's actually very gentle and kind and compassionate. He has some really good character development. I loved discovering all these magical secrets along with him. I gave this book 4 stars. I read Sherlock the Great Game, which is a graphic novel adaptation of the TV show Sherlock. I really enjoyed reading this manga because it perfectly mirrors the TV show in every aspect. All the dialogue is the same, all of the storyline is the same, right down to the character's wardrobe. It's exactly the same. So it was a lot of fun revisiting this favorite show in a different format and just finding that it's all as wonderful as I remember. I gave this manga 4 stars. I read 10 Dumb Things That Smart Christians Believe. This book is by Larry Osborne, and I gave it 4 stars. I really loved how this book was organized. The writing is very clear and concise, and it has kind of a dry humor that kept every chapter really interesting. I especially appreciated how the author explains things and uses clear biblical scriptures to kind of debunk these Christian myths. I really enjoyed reading it, and now I want to read more from this author. I gave this book 4 stars. I read The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. Now, I've been keeping a bullet journal for 3 or 4 years now, and I kind of started out with the exact bullet journal method and then kind of changed it around and made it my own thing. But my planner is still basically a bullet journal. So when I sat down to read The Bullet Journal Method, the actual book, I guess I was just expecting something different from this, whatever this book is. This book spends very little time explaining actually how to set up a bullet journal. There are a few good ideas about lists and calendars and tasks and goals and things like that, but there's not many. Most of the book is completely enveloped in this philosophical message of living your best life and organizing your thoughts, staying true to your real goals with a ton of cutesy sayings and little quotes from Gandhi. And I wanted a much more practical guide on how to use my bullet journal. And instead, I got this lengthy essay on how to change your life and motivate yourself to reach your goals. I mean, that's fine, but it was written so condescendingly. I was just rolling my eyes through every chapter. It's way too long. The best parts of this book could have been condensed down to like 100 pages. I mean, if you took out all the cute little anecdotes and stories about the time that his apartment flooded, and about these random people who lost weight and quit their jobs and moved to Costa Rica to teach yoga, take all that out and you might actually have yourself a decent book. A concise version of this book might have had some kind of power to influence people. But there's just so much nonsense in there that is completely unnecessary. It's just drivel. Out of 300 pages, I think I got 3 good ideas for organizing my thoughts or my lists in my bullet journal. Out of 300 pages, 3 things actually made sense to me and are things that I'm actually going to use in my life. If you do want to read this book, it does have some good stuff, but I wouldn't buy it. I would get it from the library if I were you. That's what I did, is I got it from my local library. I gave this book 3 stars, but I don't know, it's kind of more like 2 stars or 2.5. It's just not what I wanted from it. I also read The Fellowship, The Literary Lives of the Inklings. I read this book by listening to the audiobook, and I really enjoyed the narrator and the structure of the book. It follows mostly chronological, but sometimes kind of a topical format, and it covers the lives of the 4 most famous members of the Inklings group. It starts from their childhoods and goes through their young adulthood, through both of the world wars, and follows their careers in academia, and of course their writing and their books and their personal relationships and their families. I already know a lot about these men because Tolkien and Lewis are 2 of my favorite authors, and I've read other books about the Inklings. But I was really impressed with the depth of the information and the careful research in this book. The writing is excellent, concise and forceful. Each word serves a purpose. And it weaves a story of these imaginative writers and their world in Oxford. I gave this book 4 stars. I also read The Rabbit Effect, Live Longer, Happier, and Healthier with the Groundbreaking Science of Kindness. I received this book for free in exchange for a free and honest review. This book explains many of the hidden factors to health and disease that, of course, modern medicine does not routinely cover. Things like social environment, easy access to nutritious food, your satisfaction with your work and your safety at work, your family bonds and any environmental trauma that you might have. And it shows that kindness and, not having stress in your life can actually heal diseases. I really liked how the information in this book was organized and how the chapters were set up. And there's some really good examples of real life cases and scientific studies that were done that prove how each of these components in a person's life will strongly affect their health. However, the author has a definite political agenda in this book, and it's like reading political propaganda, seriously. There are several things that she talks about, like government healthcare and the wage gap, and she has completely false information about those things that have been disproven over and over again. So right away, I lost all confidence in this author. First of all, because she's pushing her own political agenda instead of just sticking to the facts. And because she's ignoring proven facts in order to promote this worldview that is full of false information. There are a few good ideas in this book about promoting a stress-free lifestyle and forging connections with your social group, and I did enjoy reading about those good solutions. I appreciated the basic message about health in this book, but I did not need the political fakery surrounding it. I gave this book 3 stars. So I also read 3 Try-A-Chapter books in May, but I'm going to review those in a different video. So be on the lookout for my Try-A-Chapter wrap-up. And I also read a classic in May, Moll Flanders, but I'm also going to review that one in another video because I have lots of things to say about Moll Flanders. So be watching for those videos coming soon. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.